What's up, Magnetic Men Club? We are back here with another live for you guys. Today, we are talking all about the downfall of the traditional family. Obviously, the nuclear family, the 50s family, the idealized like American dream style family, what that means for kind of Western cultures and things like that too. Because kind of how the media have started to frame things, how things have kind of gone through history, how we've kind of got so much the rise of feminism, equality, all that stuff, and kind of how that's affected the traditional family lifestyle over time. And so that's all about the topic today. I'm Chase, got my good friend Jared here.
What's up, kids? I know this subject, Chase does a lot of the topics for us because it's just easier for him to do. He has a lot of the context as far as what's trending and what we want to talk about. And we have this master plan also on what kind of pairs with what we're trying to teach. And so when this topic came up, I was like, oh, well, we both know quite a bit about this going through our past. And, you know, obviously you're a married man now with children, and I'm divorced. And so I thought this was a really good topic to bring up and get Chase's feedback on it, because he sees it differently than I do. I'm seeing it when I'm coaching guys that are going through a divorce or a bad breakup, or guys who have never really been able to date. Their dating is kind of horrible. This is where I'm seeing it, and then Chase is seeing it from a whole different angle, being the guy who kind of came from a broken home, but now he's in charge of his own home, and he's doing everything he can to keep it intact and be the leader of his home, be the leader of his family. And so it is going to be a little bit different of a conversation when we both talk about it, because I don't come from that background anymore. Yeah. So I think I want you to kick off on what do you, as far as the downfall, what do you think the biggest over the last, 20, 30 years, what has been the biggest downfall of the nuclear family? Why hasn't that really, it just doesn't really exist as much as it used to, really at all?
Well, I think a lot of it comes down to like human evolution and kind of like how things have changed for us over time. Like obviously for 100,000 years, like things on Earth for humanity were pretty much the same. We lived in tribes. We had like nomadic villages and that kind of stuff too. And people would kind of come together, and the community raised the community. Their community was responsible for everything. I mean, we still had like the man and woman relationships, that kind of stuff, how we took care of the children, what we were responsible for. Obviously, the men had to go out and hunt because they had to bring food home for the family, or the family starved. And so, I mean, things were pretty basic. It was all about survival back then. That's really all they were really concerned with. And so ultimately, like you had all these huge extended families that kind of lived in the same place, right? And that kind of carried over into like even like the 1500s, 1600s, all the way up into the 1800s. You had these extended families that were living together, and it was just normal to have grandpa, grandma in the house, normal to have uncles, aunts living with you, that kind of stuff, their families too. You'd have like 15 people in one house because you kind of had to come together for survival, and you had to manage the farm. Everything was really more nomadic back then. Like all the jobs were pretty much based around survival and gardening and making sure that we had those skills to survive. And so ultimately, that's kind of how people were for 100,000 years. And then in the last couple hundred years, things have started to change a lot. So obviously in the early 1800s, you had more affluent families starting to move towards more tight-knit families, more, what we see today in the modern traditional nuclear family, right? Where we had a mom, a dad, and the kids. And that's all we were really concerned with. And ultimately, the traditional values that we had there were that the woman stayed home. She took care of the kids. She nurtured the family. She made sure the man was taken care of when he got off work and he came home, right? And she took care of the house. She made sure things were clean and taken care of, and basically just managed everything that had to do with the house to make sure that the man could go out, do what he had to do to come home and provide, that kind of stuff, right? Obviously, that's an idealized view of it. It was all over the place and more from experience, right? I mean, I know we've all seen Mad Men and seen how that kind of stuff can go, right? Yeah. But ultimately, it's just, I think over time, women have felt like that's an oppressive lifestyle. For me and my wife, we value traditional values, right? Like we look at those roles as like, okay, I'm the man, I got to be out there, I got to provide, I got to set the direction, I got to make sure I'm the face of everything so that, you know, I can keep my family where they need to be. They're safe.
Yeah.
They're not worried about these things. They're just worried about nurturing and upkeep and upcoming, like basic learning, the things that they need to do to make sure that they're, you know, adults in society. Obviously, when it comes to my kids, I don't want them to have to worry about anything as far as the household being at risk, right? I need to make sure that I'm providing. I need to make sure we have enough money. I need to make sure that we're not really worried about where our food's going to come from, all that kind of stuff, right? To make sure that they can focus on just learning what they need to do to become productive members of society, and then teaching them what they need to know and that kind of stuff too. Ultimately, I think that things have kind of started to get skewed over the years, though, because like while we value those things, I've seen a lot of people from a lot of different angles that, you know, they don't really value those things so much. Like they really value more individuality. They value more like independence. Like they want to be independent. They really want that free love kind of lifestyle. They don't see any value in being married, that kind of stuff too. And ultimately, I mean, it's all within the eye of the beholder. It all comes down to kind of what's important to you versus what isn't important to you. It comes down to your value structure. I think in a lot of cases, a lot of men in these situations get into trouble because they don't have clearly defined values and beliefs. They don't really have clearly defined goals. In a lot of cases, they're just kind of living their life, just getting by and just kind of skating through, just hoping that everything kind of turns out for the best, doing their part, you know, obviously going to work, coming home, providing, but not really much more outside of that. And I think a lot of women, they feel oppressed by that. That's where kind of the rise of feminism comes in, right? That's where a lot of this stuff like equality and all that stuff comes in too. I think that's where the lines have started to get blurred, though, with all of that stuff coming in, where feminism's like everything's 50-50, women can be independent, all that movement and all that stuff there. And like obviously free love, women should get out and explore their options, that kind of stuff too, where men value purity, they value virginity, they value somebody who really hasn't played the field a lot. They value a woman who really embodies those traditional values, where she kind of saves it for the man she loves.
Yeah. I think definitely a lot of it has to do, and I would say really maybe closer to the last 40 years, but it's accelerated with social media. See, here's how I view it. And it's not 100% women's fault. They've been sold a bill of lies through feminism. Feminism has a lot to do with it, but
Absolutely,
a lot of women, I think what happens is, let's say you're a beautiful 19 or 21-year-old girl from Hungary in some little pissant village and you have the internet. A billionaire could find you, sweep you off your feet and take you on a private jet and take you to Miami and wine and dine you, all of this. It's access. This is what's changed. Women literally have way more access to the richest men in the world. Men never had that. Meaning, I could be Brad Pitt. Do you think some rich billionaire is going to find me? No. It's their hypergamous nature is still kicking in. They always think they can do better and better. And when they see this, when they see them getting all of these likes and hearts from these complete strangers, it fills their head like, oh, I can do better. Screw the people in my hometown. I'm going to find this rich guy. Screw the rich guy. I'm going to find somebody even better. And a lot of it has to do with, yes, the feminism and, you know, these damn female artists, you know, singing these stupid songs. Every woman, you know, Whitney Houston, I'm every woman and all this crap. They're filling each other up. They're basically mental masturbating each other into this frenzy that they deserve way more than what their current reality is. And because they feel like they need this high value
entitlement,
deserve this high value man, this man who has choice. And they learn real quick, generally as the years kind of tick on, they learn really quick and they come up with these buzzwords. There are no good men. No, there's a lot of good men. You pass them all up in your 20s and your 30s. Reminds me of, you ever heard of the husband store? You ever heard of the story about the husband store?
Yeah. She goes up one floor to the next floor.
Uh,
Yeah.
should I tell the audience what it is? Because it does
Yeah.
play
Let's
into
hear
it.
it. Let's hear it.
So the husband store goes like this. There's a store in New York City. We'll call it New York City. It's called the husband store, and women can go there and they get to pick out their husband. And this store has 6 floors, and they get to go in, but there's rules. The rule is they can only go one time. They can pick whoever they want relative to whatever floor they're on, but they can't. What was the other part? So they go to whatever floor, pick out whatever man they want. But if they go to the next floor, they're not allowed to go back down unless they're going to exit. So the women are like, great, perfect. I understand the rules. I comply. Great. So they go to the first floor, and the sign at the first door basically says, all these men have jobs and love kids. So this girl's like, oh my God, they have a job. They love kids. This could be good husband material. Why not? So they go in and they browse around. They look, these guys are decent. Whatever. She starts realizing there's 5 more floors. So she decides to go to the second floor. The second floor sign that says, they all have jobs, love kids, and love God. Oh, he loves God. Okay, so they're going to go into there and they're going to look around, and they start thinking, you know what? I think I can do better. It's great that these guys love kids and they have jobs and they love guys. I deserve more. I can do better. So they go to the third floor, and the third floor all have jobs, love kids, love God, and extremely good looking. Oh, this is it for me. So they go in, they see all these good looking men who love God, who love children, and have jobs. That's the third floor. They're like, there's 3 more floors. It's got to get better than this. And I deserve more. I'm a queen, so I'm going to deserve everything. Great. So they go to the 4th floor. Floor 4, same thing. They all have jobs. They love kids. They love God. Extremely good looking, and will help around the house, household chores. I paid her. I can't believe it. They're going to help me. They're going to help me do laundry. We're 50-50. We're partners in this. Love God. Awesome. Then what? They start thinking, well, shit, there's 2 more floors. I don't want to sell myself short. I want to see more. They go to the 5th floor. 5th floor, same thing. Have jobs, love kids, love God. Extremely good looking, help with the housework, and an animal in bed. Oh my God. Very romantic animal bed. This, I cannot believe it. I'm going to find a man right here. What happens? They get in their mind, well, there's another floor. I have to do better. There's got to be somebody better than this. They get to the 6th floor. The sign reads, you are visitor number 4,392,510. There are no men on this floor. This floor exists solely for the purpose to prove that women cannot be pleased. Have a good day. Thank you. Goodbye. This completely ties into what the modern women are going through right now. You can't please them. You cannot fucking please them. Back in the day, my grandmother, I'll use, they didn't have internet. My grandmother, I saw pictures when she was like 19 or 20. She was gorgeous. Well, if the internet was down there around during that time, and my grandfather, kind of goofy looking, it wasn't really a good looking guy, he's kind of goofy, she would have more opportunity to meet other people because of the internet outside of her local network. This is what's changed. The idea with this store is there's men all over this world, and I can always do better. I deserve more. I deserve more. This to me is what's changed. This is what's destroyed the family.
Well,
Is
it's
this
like
idea
this.
that I can always do better?
It's like this insatiable hunger, right? Like they feel entitled to it too. It's not only that they feel like there's more, but they feel like they deserve more. They should have more,
Yeah.
and society backs that up. Like media backs that up. Even the courts and government back that up. You know what I mean? So, I mean, if she tries to go to college, she's entitled. If she goes to work at any particular office or any factory, or, I mean, God forbid, any kind of STEM job, she's entitled.
Right.
Because, I mean, if a man tries to go into one of the heel jobs where he tries to actually like go into like nursing or something like that, or something along like, there's no conveyor belt for him to go in there. Like they're not trying to get him in there, but they are trying to get women more into school, even though they're, like 15% ahead of men as far as like graduation and all that stuff too.
Right.
And so there's all of that stuff going on. Really, like men are being left behind in droves. And at the same time, like men largely feel discarded in a lot of cases. Like they feel like they're not needed because like that's what feminism and society and the media kind of tells us. Like men aren't important. You don't need a man. Why do you need a man? Basically, and that's kind of what they're telling all these girls. Like, if you kind of look at what the media was back in the day, like you look at all those old Disney movies and all that stuff too, like Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, all the old princesses and stuff.
Yeah.
Like they were all these idealized women who basically were told that they just kind of, wait and sit around. Like Prince Charming will come in and he'll rescue the day and he'll make sure that she gets everything she needs and he'll just take care of her. And so she waited for Prince Charming. Prince Charming was coming. And so that's kind of the point of view that women had, obviously, through the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. Like, they valued family. Like, they wanted a family. That was their goal. They wanted to get married. They looked forward to that day, that kind of stuff. Over time, I think, after the millennium, into the early 2000s, like, women have changed in that regard in a large aspect. But so has the media. Like, movies have changed, right? You look at all these female-led movies like freaking Captain Marvel and like all that stuff too, and it's always these arrogant women. It's always these women who are narcissistic as hell, putting men down. She doesn't need a man. She's not going to let a man tell her what to do, right, or tell her how to do her job and that kind of stuff too. And it's like, dude, that's all the stuff you say you hate in men. Like you're completely exhibiting every single trait that you say you hate in men. Right. And you're telling us that that's a strong female lead, that's an idealized female for what we're kind of moving into. But ultimately, that's where everything is getting confused. That's what's being shoved down our throats, right? From our movies to our books to the news cycles to the, the Me Too movement and all that stuff too. And like, I'm not saying these things don't have their merit. Like there is a place for these things. There is a reason that they exist.
Sure.
However, there's real consequences to these things too. Like we are losing that traditional family, and we are losing those traditional values. The lines between traditional gender roles are being blurred. Like you have men who are out there dressed like women, acting like women. You have women out there trying to be men and that kind of stuff too. And none of them are really all that happy.
Right. Yeah, no, it's a complete shit show because like you said, women are trying to take on the masculine, and men, sadly, a lot of men are way too much in their feminine. And it's like, I'm not bashing women on the why. It's great that I even said this in one of my videos. If feminism, God, I can never say that word, means sticking up for and agreeing to that men and women both should have equal opportunity, I agree with it. Equal opportunity, but not equal outcome. There are certain things that men can do that women can't do. However, society's telling women that they can literally do everything and that they need a man for nothing. Until what happens is they're bought into this in college and they want to get a career, so they work really hard in whatever career they do. Usually it's a career stemming around other people, the social services, Chase said teaching. Women are always inherently more interested in people. Men are more interested in things. This is why men go into engineering. There's no people around. They're engineers, computer sciences, things like that.
That's exactly why men thrive in technical schools. Like you don't see a lot of women in technical schools for a lot of that stuff. I mean, men need specialized education in order to be able to be mechanics and engineers and all that kind of stuff too. Yeah.
But see, what's happening is, and it's starting to change a little bit, but what's happening is for a while, because women were graduating and making their own money in droves, and women do graduate college at much higher rates than men. And for the field choices that they go into, they're making just as much as men, if not more. So this whole idea of women not making enough as men is complete bullshit. They're basically
it's not a thing anymore. No.
And they're lumping it all together. They're not even being realistic in how they're coming up with the numbers. But men who've decided to go into that more traditional role, being a bricklayer, electrician, plumber, roofer, whatever, it's not that women aren't interested. They're not interested in them. Physically, they can't do the work for long periods of time. Our physiological, we're different. We're built different. We have more testosterone. We have stronger bone mass. The reason why I'm bringing this up is women discard these men as like, oh, like going to the floors that we talked about. Oh, he's a good guy. He loves God. He's good looking. Oh, but he's a bricklayer, or he's in the trades. He doesn't have a degree. Like, they start pigeonholing these guys into, they need to have these qualities under these circumstances, then I'll give them a chance. And this is what's been happening over the last, say, 20, 30 to 40 years. And men have started to lose their frame during this time, because really we haven't changed. As men, we haven't changed. We still want a family. We still want to protect, and we still want to provide. And I'm sorry, ladies, we want you to shut the fuck up every once in a while and just let us lead. That really, it's not that hard.
Well, the thing is, though, too, is like even back in like the 50s, like 40s, 50s, 60s, like obviously that's like the golden era of the traditional family, right? And that's when that was really kind of the big thing. Like, women wanted to find the best husband possible. They wanted to raise a family. They wanted to be homemakers, that kind of stuff. Like, that was just the way it was. They helped their mom make dinners. They helped grandma make dinners.
Right.
That's just women for generations. That's what they did. Right. But ultimately, I think that, like, today, obviously with the media and everything too, like, women are encouraged to go out there and have multiple partners. Like, so back in the 60s and 70s, a woman would have been uncomfortable with having premarital sex.
Right.
After that, like after the millennium and stuff too, moving into the millennium where we have all of that media and like all those new movies kind of shoving all this stuff down our throats. Well, now the lines are blurred there. Like, women are like, well, you know, who cares about getting married? I can go out and have sex. I can have sex in high school and middle school and whatever. She's just going to play all her options through her 20s. Why would she want to settle down in her early 20s when the whole world is in front of her? She has all the power at her fingertips.
Right.
And so that's where a lot of these women are. They're super entitled. They have all the power in front of them in their 20s, and they get to pick and choose. And that's just kind of where it is. But then the thing is, too, is they hit the wall. That's not like they hit that wall in their mid-30s. They don't realize that wall is coming in a lot of cases. And they're kind of left in shambles after that. At that point, then they want to settle down. They start valuing the traditional family, all that stuff a bit more. Right. But now they're left with nobody. There's no quality men, because here's the thing. Men value.
Men. That's the thing, though. There are quality men.
Not for them.
Still think they deserve
but not for them. Yeah. There's no quality men for them.
Right.
And so that's that. They're left with all the men who didn't get their shit together. And so here's the thing. They didn't get their shit together. So they're left with all the men who didn't get their shit together, because the men who did get their shit together, well, they took the best girls. They took the girls who really, valued those things. That they took the girls who were, cream of the crop, top 10%, just like they were trying to do in their early 20s, but now the tables are flipped. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of where everybody ends up. And the thing is, too, is like you're left with like a very small section of society that actually ends up happy, because the majority of them are single, have no idea what's going on, are completely confused about what to do in their lives, are not intentional with anything. They have no idea what their morals, their values are. They have no idea what their core beliefs, all that kind of stuff are, and really no idea what's holding them back. All these guys have no idea why they get constantly rejected, because here's the thing, like they're on these dating apps and things like that too, and they're liking every single woman who goes by. Yeah. But the women, they could give a shit. Like, she gets 300 messages a day. Why the hell does she care about you? You got to stand out. So that's where we're at. Like, you have 300 guys to one woman. And in a lot of cases, the women who do have those morals and values, like, they end up finding a quality guy. But those quality guys are just few and far between. And I think that's what a lot of this comes down to, too, is the fact that, like, women are playing a man's game. Like, they really are. They're playing it better than men. in a lot of cases, they're becoming better men than men can be. Like they're actually stepping up. They're going out there. They're working. They're taking ownership. They're being independent. They're out there playing the field, playing their options, improving themselves, becoming the best woman they can be so they can live their best lives. In a lot of cases, the men that aren't doing those things are the ones that get left behind. That's how you beat these women. You beat them at that game by being better at it than they are.
See, I disagree because you just said they're being independent. They're being adults. What do you mean? Like they have a job, great. That you have a car, you have a place to sit, you can buy your own food.
Well, sure, yeah.
Great, you're fucking an adult, but you're not independent. The roads you're on are built by men. They're maintained by men. The house you live in was built by a man. The engineer who built the house was probably a man. What women need to understand is you are in our world. Now, we're letting you have this bullshit free reign that you think you have, but you're still under our frame. And it's pissing you off to no end. And this is why it's getting worse and worse. This is why men are just really giving up on dating. They're like, listen, I don't want to deal with entitled little ba 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 ba. You're acting like a man. I
think that's the result. Yeah. Everybody's kind of giving up on dating altogether, pretty much. Yeah.
So this idea that they're independent is not right. No, you're an adult. What if a guy says, I'm independent. I have my own car. I have my own house. I just made my own food.
Nobody gives a shit.
All these songs that says it. No, this is why that nuclear family. She was a whole person who had an attribute. Maybe her mom taught her to cook and clean and taught her actually how to be a wife. Here's what I find out about feminism. I find it so funny. Feminism will cheer you on to go to a job that a man owns who pays you. So you'll serve that man, but you won't serve your husband and your kids. But feminism will support that. Most of the businesses are ran or owned by men still in today's society. Again, the roads you're on, the aircraft, the computer, the freaking dating apps. Every dating app was built and created by men. I'm not saying like you guys have no worth of this. What I'm saying is you have to understand that this entire structure was built and is still maintained by men. Speaking of, most of these men you completely pass. The guy digging a ditch, the guy on the telephone pole who's fixing your electricity, the guy paving the road. You don't give them a second chance or even a second glance, but these are the guys who are actually maintaining your lifestyle. So it pisses me off. Anytime I hear a girl says, I'm independent, I'm like, in the middle of the night, you're home alone and somebody breaks into your house. Who are you going to call? You're going to call the cop, and 9 times out of 10, it's a big toxic masculinity cop coming in to help. That's what's going to happen. Or
9 times out of 10, yeah.
Let's say it's another female cop, which are the fucking worst most of the time. But who do you prefer? Who's going to be your bodyguard? A big, strong guy who knows how to fight, or another female? No. So you're not independent. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard people say, that women are independent. You're not. You are dependent upon the structure that was created for you to have your dependence, your independence. But it comes at a cost. The cost is still you have.
See, that is something that I can completely get on board with and agree with. I mean, it might be a radical opinion, but I think that that's something that makes perfect sense. Because let's say the society went away. Like this society that you value so much, this society that hands you your freedom, this society that hands you all the structure and everything that you need to live your independent life, so you can own your Tesla and go to your job and drive on these roads and all this stuff that's maintained by men in society. So this is all infrastructure that was built by men. This is all stuff that was designed by men. This is all stuff that's maintained by men. That is truth. Like if you look at 9 times out of 10, it's a man. Like you could argue that there's women in these professions, but it's few and far between. You have to admit that the majority of this is men.
Right.
So if that's the case, then if society goes away, like we have some kind of apocalyptic scenario, maybe New York gets nuked, whatever. You have a like zombie apocalypse outbreak, whatever. What are you going to do? Are you still Miss Independent? Like, are you going to go grab the golf clubs like down the street and like you're going to try and get out of town? What are you going to do in this case, right?
Yeah.
In most cases, that's where it all falls apart, and that's how you know for a fact that what you say is true.
Yeah,
They're not truly independent, because if something like that happens, society starts to break apart. Let's say a civil war in America broke apart.
Just
overnight.
You can back test it right now. Go to Ukraine. When the war in Ukraine broke out, all feminine left. All the feminine did not exist now. The men or the women and children went to Poland most of the time.
They're not on the front lines. There's no way. They're not going to go fight. They're not putting guns in these women's hands.
That's what I'm saying. Well, that's what I'm saying. Miss Independent, like, you're just as good as a man. Here's the one, get on the front line. It didn't happen. Their idea of feminism, they left. Oh, I'm getting out of here. I'm going to let the men fight. So if you want to get back to this nuclear family, which did work, yes, it might have been a little bit intrusive for the women. God forbid you ask a woman who's raising your children, who's cooking for you. God forbid, like that. Does that sound horrible? But you're fine letting your woman go to work for another man. That's feminism. That's all. You're independent. The dumbest shit I ever heard. It's just stupid.
Well, none of them
I love the fact that women have the same opportunities that we do. I do. I'm completely for it. I'm just not for the fact is the outcome has to be exactly the same, or there's toxic masculinity, or the patriarchy's trying to keep it down. No,
I'm all about equality where we can have equality. So that's the thing. It's like, if something can be equal, then by all means it's equal.
It already is.
There's certain things that women are better at that men have no business doing. There's certain things that men are better at that women have no business doing. And we have to admit that there's lines there. That, like, there's certain areas for men that women don't belong in. And there's certain areas for women that men don't belong in. We shouldn't be including women in the freaking Boy Scouts, man. Like, we shouldn't be including women in every single section of society that was meant for men and taking all of men's spaces away. Like, we're losing men's spaces in droves because men's values don't matter, because it's out the window, because it's toxic, whatever, right? You start talking about men's values and men's mental health and things that are going on with men, like, people just, like, they gloss over, including men. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, like, we're losing all of our spaces. We have to include women in every single section of it.
But at the end of the day, we created this? Weak men in charge. When all of this started coming up, weak men allowed this to happen. The powers that be at the time, weak men actually allowed this space for this bullshit to happen to begin with. As strong men were in charge, and women say, I can do everything you can. And a strong man says, well, great, go get on the roof, carry that 80-pound bundle up. Matter of fact, carry 3 at a time, because that's what most men do. Oh, I can't do that. Well, then shut up. Like, it's not that hard.
It's true.
I love the fact that women have the opportunity to do whatever they feel if they want to. I do. If you want to be a roofer, God bless you. If you want to be an attorney, you have the same opportunities. That's great. But the outcomes are not going to be the same. They're just not going to be the same. Men were designed for a purpose, and so were women. Now, am I saying men or women were only designed to have kids and be a wife? No. But of the women that want that, even they can't speak up anymore. A lot of women actually want that, but they're so afraid to say it because the feminine movement will easily bash them and say, I can't believe you. You're turning your back on us and on our movement. Like,
well, and you're an oppressor. Like, that's the thing. It's like, you're trying to hold them down. You're an oppressor and all that kind of stuff too. And it's like,
all guys are oppressors for every time we speak our mind. This is why I'm an asshole most of the time, because I speak my mind and I talk to women. I'm like, you make no sense. You make 0 sense. One side, you want to do all of these things, and yet you want to be married. You want to have sex with 20 different guys or 50 or 100 guys, and then once you hit 29, realize, you know what? Now I'll be a good girl. Now I'll find somebody, the one. You're going to find a beta bitch male, because the real men know the game, and they're like, we're not playing this with you.
Well, they know their worth. They know their worth. They know that they're worth more. They don't have to settle.
Or like you said, they're already married. They already like, listen, I found a good girl in high school. I found a good girl in college. We're building together. And now they have, a couple kids, and they're really building together. Where some of these girls want their cake and eat it too. They want to be able to have all the sex they want, have a career, and then when they decide, they snap their fingers, and all these amazing guys are going to come running to them and say, "Oh my God, I'll take you, princess." No, a
That's
lot of
what they
guys,
expect, though. They expect
well,
that every
I hear this.
little puppy guy she picks up along the way is going to be there waiting at the end of it all. Like, she
I
thinks
can't
that
tell
shit.
you how many exes I've had, how many girls I've talked to that say, "You know how many guys hit me up? Do you know how many guys want to F you?" That's the question. Like, they don't really want to be with you. They want to F you. Why can't you see this?
True.
So
Absolutely.
I'm going to go back to my grandmother. We're going to try to bring it back to the nuclear family, because you also brought up something else about choice. When you didn't have the internet and you didn't have all this external stuff coming at you, that billionaire in Miami couldn't find you in upstate New York. So your community is what you pulled from back in the day. You could have been a really good looking woman, maybe the cheerleader. You probably married the captain of the football team. So you both were high value at that sense. Like, you both had that structure, right? So the point is, as society through social media expanded out to literally, you can find some girl in Thailand who's a freaking 10, court her. There's probably 10,000 guys courting her, and she's never had that. She's like, "I'm in a poor village. I don't even have water." So this is the power that women have. And even the ugly girls, even the girls who are 4, 5s, and 6s, these
Truth.
beta male simps blow them up. I see it on social media all
That's
the time.
true.
I'm like, dude, I've seen her in real life. She don't look like that. I can tell you that. You're a goddess. You're beautiful. And they fill their goddamn heads up, and they're like fucking Corky from Life Goes On. They all turn retarded and think they're special and these
Yeah.
beautiful women. It's like, why are you still single? If you're such a prize, why in the F are you still single? Answer that. And they can't answer it. They can't. Well, they can, because they say, "Because you can't handle us." I love that. Like, I intimidate men. No, you don't. We're turned off by you. We're turned off by your fucking
Oh,
mental
man.
retardation. That's what I say. I'm like, I'm completely turned off. I am not intimidated by a 5'4", 110-pound girl. Not at all.
Well, you're practically a man at this point.
I probably went completely off tangent, but this subject really pisses me off, because guys really
It's
need to
true. Yeah.
understand their worth. Even if, guys, you can do better, even though you should get to the gym, which you should, even though you should always try to level yourself up, make the most you can, you're still fearfully and wonderfully made by God. Don't let anybody tell you that you're nothing. I don't care if you're a plumber. I know 4 plumbers I can think of right now that make well over $200,000 a year. Don't let other women society tell you that you're not good enough, that you're not worthy of having an amazing girl.
See, that's just it. I think that is the key to everything here, too. And that's exactly what we need to solve this. We have too many men out there thinking that they're worthless. We have too many men out there feeling like they're discarded, like they're not needed, like women in society can get along without them. That's what the media shoves down our throats.
Mhm.
And so I think that if men felt more valued, that they had more self-confidence, first of all,
Yeah.
they had more self-esteem, if they could really grow that self-love and be like, you know what, I freaking matter. Like, what I feel matters. So it doesn't matter what the fuck I do for a living. All that really matters is, who I am as a person, the life that I'm trying to live, what I'm trying to do, and all that kind of stuff too. Like, really self-improvement. Obviously, go to the gym, get some hobbies, that kind of stuff too. Like, that's the thing that would turn all of this around. Because if more of those men would stop pining over these women who are just like accepting all of it, like all these beta males, all these simps, all that stuff too. You got to stop pining over these women, man. Like, you got to realize that you're more important, that you're more valuable, that you should invest more of your time and effort into just figuring out what your core values are, what your self-beliefs are, what the things that are in front of you that are holding you back for you, not for anybody else. Mm-hmm. You're not trying to get into the gym to look better, to have a six-pack, to impress her. You're doing it so that you walk differently, so that you carry yourself differently, so that when you go into that sales meeting, like, you got this, man. Like, there's no doubt. Like, you're the character that can handle all this stuff.
Yeah, no, that too. And also, if you want to go to the gym obviously you want to do it for you, but you know that the result of that is you're going to look really good for the opposite sex. That's a bonus. But the point is, don't just don't let girls laugh at you, or here's the biggest thing you need to do. You need to quit simping. Stop hearting, liking, and commenting on these women's posts and women you don't even know. I know, guys, I know you. I'm watching. I want you to understand this. These Instagram models, you're giving your attention away to them. And the more followers they get, the more money they make from their sponsors. They're only showing their pretty face or their tits or whatever because this is how they get paid. This is a business for them. You have to understand that. You're hearting and following them and liking them. You're increasing their income, which is fine. God bless them, but understand what you're doing. The women that you sort of kind of know, or maybe in your social circle, you're hearting, saying goddess, beautiful, breathtaking, I would do everything to marry you. You're giving away the one thing, the only thing that you have is your time and your attention. And you're giving it away completely for free. If all men just stopped liking women's pictures, how many thirst traps would go away overnight? These dumbass girls kissing, feeling cute, and they're in the bathroom.
Duck face, all that stuff. Yeah.
Guys think it's hot. It pisses me off. I'm like, do you know how stupid you look? Do you really understand how stupid you look?
Yeah.
They know, and they don't care because they have 100 or 200 or 300 guys telling them how amazing
well, the
they
thing
are.
is, I look at that and I'm like, I want nothing to do with you. But it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to you. I scroll on. It doesn't matter. Like, it's really this event universe where it never mattered, you know? And, like, that's what most men should do in that case.
Right.
But at the end of the day, like, where do you think this is going to go? Like, do you think she's going to jump in the inbox and be like, oh, yeah, you know, like, I am gorgeous. Like, thank you.
Right.
It's like, well, here's the thing. Men value respect, loyalty, and purity. As long as the woman that he's with exhibits those behaviors, she's respectful, she values his boundaries, she respects his rules, that kind of stuff too. And at the same time, she's loyal, she's always there, you know. As long as he has that kind of stuff, that's all that really matters to him.
Yeah.
But to her, the thing is, like, she needs that attention. She starts to kind of crave it. She starts to thrive on it. She needs the drama, like all that kind of stuff too. That's why we have so many shows out there for women. Like, have you seen women's TV, man? Like,
yeah.
it's terrible. And so that's the thing, though. But that's exactly what women are really focused on. That's really what they care about. For men, like, they're pretty simple. Like, they're kind of just focused on one thing at a time. Like, whatever their hobby is, whatever it is they're trying to do, whatever their values are, and like they have their moral compass that just kind of guides them forward, and that's all that really matters. Like, things can just be simple for men.
Right. And like I said, we did a video on this where really it's women are loyal to their feelings more so than to the person. So men we're loyal to our duties. We want to get married. This is why 80% of all divorces are initiated by women. So the idea of men breaking up their home is complete bullshit.
Right.
We're still loyal to our duty. We said I do till death do us part. This is why we're loyal. But women, something changes in the relationship. I don't feel that usually it's because they start making more money and now they become independent all of a sudden. And other guys are looking at them because they have social media and they're throwing out these thirst traps. They're going to throw their marriage away because they're going on these different levels. Just like we said, the husband store, they're thinking they can do better. And most of the time, ladies, if you're watching this, you cannot do better than your baby daddy.
Well, here's the thing, though, too. Like,
for a reason. You had kids with him. You can't do better than that. I'm sorry, you can't.
Well, if we think in terms of currency, too, like, obviously men's currency is their attention. If you're out there throwing those likes on every Instagram model's pictures, right. If you're out there commenting all that stuff, you're gorgeous, whatever, you're throwing your currency right out the window. Like, you're valueless. Like, your currency is now worth nothing because you give it away so willingly. The same thing's true for women, though, on the other side with their purity and like how many men they've actually been with. So here's the thing. Men are more desirable if they're in charge of their attention, if they're in control of their attention, and at the same time, if their attention is hard to get.
Right.
Women are more valuable when they control their purity in the same way.
Yeah. Listen, I I'll just. Her name's Kissy, but I don't want you guys being weirdos and going on Facebook. She's my girlfriend. She's been with me a year and a half. Happy birthday, by the way. I know she's watching. She's
Happy birthday.
I don't know how old she is today, but she's much younger than I am. But one of the reasons why I love about her is she is a little bit older, but I know how many people she's been with. Like I know, like you know how I always say women lie. Like listen, I actually know. Like I know. So one of the things that draws me to her is her purity and she's very close to her dad. So her connection to family is huge. And she's actually completely moved 5 states down to be closer to her family, which I love. I'm surprised you didn't do that sooner, but cool. My point is there are still very good women out there. And it's up to you as a man to be the best version you can so you do have opportunities to meet these women, but also know your own frame that if a woman's entering your life and something's off, have that ability and that boundary to check her and say, listen, this is how this shit works for me. If you don't like it, the door's right there. Have that abundance mindset. This is another part of why I really feel men, we generally just take what we get. I mean, it sounds bad, but a lot of the guys I coach, I'm like, why are you with this girl? Because she likes me.
Sure.
That's
will.
the prerequisite because she's hot, she gives me sex, and she liked me. Really? Those 3, that's all you want? But I understand because he might not be high enough value. He may have gotten a girl who's probably much better looking than him. And so he's latching on. He's having that scarcity mindset. So I do understand that. I can empathize with that, but still understand half of the population are women. So your odds of finding somebody else are pretty effing good. And the older we get as men, well, our value actually increases and women's value decreases. So I don't want you to have this thought that this is the only woman in the world for you and to basically let her walk all over you because you have this scarcity mindset. I don't want you to have that. I want it to be an exchange where you're both freely coming into this relationship and you both understand what the roles are. Because a lot of people get the wrong thing that there's love has to do with a relationship. Love has nothing to do with a relationship. The relationship is just a structure that's built on each other's needs. And once those needs are not met, the structure falls apart. It has nothing to do with love. So I need you to understand, especially the way my grandparents did. My grandfather told me this. He goes, yes, I love my wife. I love your grandmother. But love didn't get us through 55 years. The relationship did. The structure did. The understanding of this is your role. This is my role. Don't come into my role. I won't come into your role. This is what we've lost. We see this all the time where women think they're men and they come into these relationships trying to dominate. And the guy's like, his role's like, what the fuck? I thought I was the man. What's going on? And he gets turned off by that masculine dominance women have. They get turned off by this. And a lot of men are just saying, fuck it. They're not going to date anymore. Most men don't even have sex anymore. There's a huge number of men who are completely celibate. I would lose my mind personally, but they're fine with it. They're like, listen, I don't want to deal with the bullshit. And then women have the gall to say there's not good men out there. No, you just pissed them all off and they don't want anything to do with you. What are your thoughts?
So I think it all comes down to like a lot of compromise too, especially with those gender roles and all that kind of stuff too. I think in a lot of cases, like women, like they don't want to learn how to cook. They don't really want to be responsible for all the household stuff. They don't want to have to raise the kids. Like, so here's the thing. Like you could have the best job in the world as a man. Like you can go to work every single day. You can work 10-hour days,
excuse me,
6 days a week. And she'll look at you like you're some freaking asshole because you're never home, because you're never there, because like you basically are always trying to be out of the house. Like, and even when you are home, like you're doing the yard work and all that stuff too, and you're not taking care of this and that. I'm like, she needs a break from these kids. And she needs a break from this and that. And like, it would be nice if you cooked one dinner, even though you're working 6 days a week, 10 hours a day, and like taking care of everything inside of the house. And it's like, I think that there's a big disconnect. Like, I think a lot of these women expect that, okay, well, I don't have to learn how to cook. I can be Miss Independent. I can do whatever I want to do. I can sit around and do my art all day, and you'll just pay for my whole living, and I don't have to take care of anything. And so, like, a lot of them get that kind of point of view where they're really entitled. And it's like, okay, well, if you're going to stay home, like, obviously you have to be a homemaker. Like, that's the way this works. Like, I know that you're this big, fiery, feminine energy, and like you're thriving and teaching people how to do like the fire dragon dance and whatever, and like doing your Reiki stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever it is at home, whatever it is that you're trying to do. In a lot of cases, these women, they're not doing anything. They're sitting around all day just watching TV, and they want to just like be the homemaker, but without any of the duties.
Right.
And I think that there's a reverse side to that, where there's men who want no responsibility. They want to have just some homemaker woman, like, but at the same time, like, she's going to come home and make dinner for him, but then she's going to go work her full-time job. And they're just moochers. They're couch surfers, right? They're freaking Kyles with torn jeans and whatever, It's like there's obviously a large spectrum of people. And at the end of the day, like, all the best ones find each other. And I think that that's the case. Like, no matter what, the best women are going to find the best men. The best men are going to find the best woman. And that's the whole point I'm actually trying to get to with this whole thing, and where I want to leave you guys with is, if you just improve yourself, straight up, if you just work on yourself, if you just become the best option that any woman could have, whatever woman you end up with, she's going to be a quality woman, because you get to pick and choose.
And she's
going to have enough self-love and enough self-esteem to pick and choose, though, and make sure you set those boundaries, and you have some qualifying factors. Not that she just loves you, right? And she just gives you sex. No, she needs to qualify. Like, she has to actually qualify for the position. But the only way that you can really put yourself in that position is by going to the gym, by having hobbies, by being driven, by having boundaries, by standing up for yourself, by being financially free, that kind of stuff. So as a man, that is your responsibility. I know there's a lot of men out there who just want women to take care of them. That's fine, man. That's the man that you are. That's who you want to be. There's a place for you in this world. It's fine. There's no problem.
I hope you're good looking. And maybe you might have to like date an 80-year-old heiress or something. God bless you. If you want to do that. But
you have no power. You have no power. She has all the power. Like, she gets to pick and choose what you do. If she says that you got to wear a diaper and a binky if you want to keep staying in her house, man, you better suit up. So that's the case that we're talking about here. If you want to have the power, you got to take the ownership, and you got to say, okay, I got to be the best me that I can be, no matter what. No matter what, I got to be more skilled. I got to be the best at whatever I do. I got to get out there and make sure that I look the best that I can, that I have a certain style for myself, and that I am who I want to be, that I'm living aligned with my lifestyle. Because if you do that, she has to qualify to be in your life. And once she has to qualify to be in your life, you get the best woman.
Right.
And here's the thing. There's 10 other women behind her waiting for you. That's the guy you want to be. You don't want to be the guy wishing for her to love you just because you're there in front of her and hoping that she'll turn around. Like, don't be that guy. Don't be that guy begging for her attention. Don't be that guy pining for her because you have a scarcity mindset. Be the guy that knows there's 10 other women behind her. It's okay.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Yep. Guys, I just want, thanks for watching it, but I do want you to understand that you are the prize. Now, I'm not saying every man's the prize. You have to make yourself to be the prize. You have to actively be doing stuff like going to the gym. We already talked about all that, but you are the prize. You, again, I don't like to throw a lot of religion in here, but a lot of guys need to understand that God made you. You're not garbage. You're not junk. Yeah, you might be a little lost right now, and that's fine. And I'm glad you're here. And we do welcome you into our new community that Chase will talk a little bit more about, and it's linked down below, where there's a lot of content in there. Yes. And so you are taking the right steps to maybe seeing where the gaps are in your own life and realizing, okay, this isn't right. I need to get here, but I don't know how to. Well, we're trying to help you get there, because what got you here at this moment is not going to get you there, wherever there is for you. And we want to help you whatever that is. I want a girlfriend. I want a wife. I want to start my own company. Whatever it is, we're here to help you. We want to help you. And we have a team behind us. So if I'm not the guy for you to help maybe coach, I have literally 300 coaches nationwide that I could plug you into that will be a better fit for you. And I do it, no money from me that I get. I'm hooking you guys up. So you need to understand that we're putting a lot of our time and a lot of our effort into this. We have created a new program through school. Chase, I want you to talk a little bit more about that. When he's done talking, I just want to say thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next weekend. But I'm going to let Chase finish this off. Go ahead, brother.
Absolutely. So that's all launching this weekend. We've got all that stuff going live. So if you guys want to get into our community, we have a founding members offer. So basically, it's going to be $7 per month, basically for the first month, and then it's $47 a month thereafter. And you can cancel at any time. So if you just want to pay the $7 to go check it out, quit before their 30 days, you absolutely can do that. We make sure that that's all set up for you guys. So if you guys are interested in that, let me know. Comment below. I can make sure you get the link for that. That's all launching probably tomorrow. Yep. And so we'll have all of that available for you guys next week on the live too. So let us know if you guys want to get into that community, because the first 50 members are getting that special deal where they get in for the $7.
Yeah.
In the future, after those first 50 members, that's going to be a $500 initiation plus $100 a month. Right now, you can get the lifetime discount just by being the founding member, because we really appreciate you guys. We want you guys to be part of the conversation. We want to make sure this is something that's affordable for you, because we all sometimes need that affordable help to just get ourselves off the ground, to get going, get that blueprint in place. That's what this whole community is about. We have all the courses in there that you could need to build your confidence, to build your self-esteem, knowing what it really means to be a man, going through all that male initiation stuff too. We're going to have masterminds and all kinds of stuff coming up for you guys. We've got a whole plan. We've got challenges, all that stuff. Yeah.
Well, we just dropped like another 15 videos or something in there, getting ready to. So, for the price. And again, sorry, I didn't want to cut on Chase.
Go ahead.
A lot of people that hit our free community, they don't do shit. And so this is why I came up with Chase and said, listen, we're done with free. Even the consultations with me, there's a cost, unless you're a member already in our community that you're paying, because free gets you nowhere. A lot of guys want to soak up free content and they don't do anything with it. And I love you guys that have that mindset, that have that value exchange mindset. Free is free, but you're not going to do anything with it. We know that. So we're making it that you got to put a little bit of pain in there, a little bit of money. And I guarantee you're going to start taking the information that we have and you're going to start applying it. Then you're going to start getting better results in your life. Then you're going to be like, oh shit, I want to do this course. Yep, I'll pay that. We understand this. So it will cost you a little bit of money, but it will be worth it. We have a ton of information on there, and you get access to us. So you're not going to be alone. And once you start paying and you don't even hear from us, we're in the group. Sorry about that. I want to add that in.
Yeah. So basically what all this means for you guys is that we're going to be putting a lot more time and attention in there. We want to make sure that all of our personalized attention goes there. We're going to have basically separate calls every single week going in there just for that community. Anybody who's in the community is invited to any of our paid challenges and all that stuff that we have coming up too. And at the same time, we've got some challenges that are going to be coming up here where we're going to try and help you guys develop. Like we said, if you guys want to have a better relationship, we're going to have workshops on that. If you guys want to get the girl, you want to be better at dating, you want to get more game, we've got help for you there. If you guys are trying to survive divorce or a bad breakup, we've got support for you there. And then on top of that, if you guys are just trying to build your self-esteem, set boundaries, really be in charge of your life and claim your power and really be the men that you want to be her best option, we're going to have options for you guys on that stuff too, as far as our courses, as far as all of our forums and everything we have there too. If you guys want to get in on the conversation, we invite you to. We're having special conversations over there on each in particular topic. This is something, even this topic we talked about today, that we expanded on really largely over there too. So make sure you guys get over there, get in on the conversation. Make sure you guys claim one of those 50 spots before they're gone.
Awesome. Have a good weekend, guys.